Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So in this video I am going to share my questions which is commonly asked for the skill assessment for the chef, either you are doing it in a commercial cookery or in a Asian cookery. Uh, the most of the questions they asked in the exams for the skill assessment for chef or certificate for in commercial cookery or certificate for in Asian cookery. Most of the questions asked are very common and there is nothing difference in between both of them. Only the menu difference, like for Western cuisine we have to give the Western dishes, and for the Asian cookery we have to give some Asian dishes depending on the cuisines where we are working. But the management level of questions asked in the chef skill assessment is most probably the same. So last 2 months I was asking most of my friends who have done their certificate for in commercial cookery as well as certificate for in Asian cookery. I used to take my time and talk to them and get some questions. So I collected some questions so that I can share in my channel in the video, so that it will be helpful for someone who really need in their to know about this in their exams. So by seeing this video, at least you guys can get some ideas that okay, this kind of questions can be asked in the exams like that. Because when I asked most of my friends, most of the questions are really in the management level are really the same and commonly asked questions. So that is what I am sharing here. So thank you everyone for supporting my channel as well, and subscribing my channel. If you guys not subscribed, please subscribe my channel so that you can get my videos, updated videos of the skill assessment. So let's go into the questions. The questions asked when you are starting the interview for the skill assessment of chef. First they will tell you to introduce yourself, and they ask about you and your skills and how many years you worked in this industry, so and so questions. So that will be very easy, you guys are attending. After that, the most commonly asked questions is about your workplace where you are currently working. So like tell first you tell about yourself and how you got promoted as a chef, and how long you have been working as a chef. They will ask these kind of questions. Then they will ask you where do you work and your current position responsibilities, means you worked before you worked in any other hotel as a chef, or you worked as a chef de partie or any then what are the responsibilities you had in previous employer. So with the current employer, what position you are working, either head chef or sous chef, so what is your duties and responsibilities in there. So this kind of questions they will ask. Then the second thing is they will ask when you enter into your kitchen first, what is the first thing you will do when you enter the kitchen, and what you going to do. Like when we enter the kitchen, we used to turn on all the lights and we turn on the exhausters, and we used to sanitize before we start the service, and like that we used to do lots of things before the service. So what you will do before the service start, when you enter the kitchen, what the first thing you will do when you enter the kitchen. So you have to discuss your own ideas. Then temperature. So there is a temperature for the fridge, there was a temperature for the freezer. So what is the actual temperature should be for the fridge, and what is the actual temperature should be for the freezer. These questions can be asked. And how often you check the temperatures of your chiller as well as your freezer. So these kind of questions will be asked. So what is the temperature of the fridge and freezer, as well as do you record this, how often you record this. So do you have any logs for this fridge, temperature logs for this freezer and the fridges. They will ask this kind of questions, and also they will ask who is maintaining this. If you are maintaining this, to tell them that you maintaining the. Mostly what are the questions they are asking you, just tell them that what you are doing that one, because you are a sous chef or head chef, we are doing this one, so tell them that we are doing that. And if you have a new staff coming to your kitchen, how you train him. These questions they can ask you. So every hotel, most of the hotels, they may be having apprentice or trainee coming to work. So how you start to train the new trainee or apprentice. how you deal with them. So this kind of things you can talk to them among depending on your experience with the apprentice. And also you how do you control the waste, and how do you control the cost. So if you're doing the food cost or your manager is doing the food cost, you know anything about the food cost and the cost control that you're doing in the kitchen, you have to tell your own ideas by giving the answer. Then who does the prep? If you, what is the system of doing it? Who makes the prep list and when? Like who does the prep? If we are starting a service, means we have to make a prep. So if we are if we are, our restaurant is having a 200 or 250 covers, 4 to 5 chefs will be working for our kitchen. So being a head chef or a sous chef, how you assign the work to the team. So who is making the prep list and how much prep has to make, who is controlling the prep list. So these kind of things they will ask, so we have to answer that one. And what is the detailed cleaning procedure? How do you supervise or do it? So each and every hotel outlet they having a system for cleaning the kitchen. Someone they most of us we maintain the logs for cleaning the kitchens. So for us, like we for every Monday we used to clean all the shelves and fridges, and every Tuesday we used to clean the exhaust of the roofs, and every Wednesday we used to clean the grills and grill sides and fridge unders, like that. We have a schedule for cleaning the kitchen, so we have to follow every day that one, every week. So what is the procedure that you guys follow in your kitchen, that you have to tell them in detail? Do you train your staffs about the possible hazards in kitchen and aware them where the first aid kits and the fire extinguishers are? So fire extinguisher and the safety extinguishers, as well as the fire blankets and the first aid kits, are the very important things that should be in the kitchen. And chef is the one who is in charge of them, or really taking care of those things. So if there is a new staff or the staff who don't know, who is not aware of that, how you train those guys by showing these things, and how you train those guys, especially in the possibilities of that, those kind of things we have to discuss. And what is the meaning of sanitization, and what sanitization chemical you use in your kitchen, what is the brand name, those kind of things they will ask, so we have to answer them. And they will ask how do you handle the diversity in the kitchen. In Australia we used to work when we are working in the environment, like when I am working, I have 4 different nationality people working here: Nepal, Indian, Sri Lankan, and Vietnamese, and some of our friends from UK, and some of the friends from Australia, like 6-7 different nationalities of people are working here. How we are working together, and how is our communication, how is our team. So this kind of things. So if there is any diversity comes in between, then how we make it unity, like how we taking it to it, those kind of things they will ask you. How would you handle grievances when it comes to juniors? Like grievances, if there is any problem happened inside, then you don't know what to do, then how you will handle that kitchen. If there is a grievances happen between the staffs inside, who you working and who the people working under you, then how you handle those things that you have to train. If I give you a recipe which yield 15 donuts and I ask you to make 24, do you approach? Like they will ask you some wrong questions, like if they will give you the ingredients to make 15 donuts, and that 15 donuts ingredients they are telling you to make for 24 donuts. Will you make it? It's just an example of donuts, but sometimes if the manager is telling you to for example, if you are giving 300 grams of steaks and the manager is telling you to give only 270 grams of steaks is enough, but their menu card says that 300 grams. So will you follow the manager or what you will do? So those kind of toughest questions will be asked over there. And what kind of beef you use in your kitchen, like you use grain fed beef or you use grass fed beef. So in Australia there are two kinds of beef they are using, grass fed beef and grain fed beef. You can also see when the customers come to eat in the hotel, most of the customers they ask whether the beef is grain fed or grass fed. There is a difference in that. If you don't know, you can google it, so you can know this kind of things in detail, because in our hotel we are using grain fed beef only. Yeah. And have you ever cooked steaks? Do you know how to cook steaks? How many kinds of cooking can be done in the steaks, and like what are the doneness of the steaks? And in that doneness, do you know the temperatures of the doneness, like what is the temperature of the medium rares, what is the temperature of the medium to medium well, what is the temperature of the rare, what is the temperature of the medium rare, and what is blue steaks. Those kind of things they will ask you. And do you cut or do you butcher your own meat, or the meat coming to your hotel is pre-cut? They will ask you like that. So if you say that yes, I cut my own beef, then they are asked what are the cuts of beef coming to your hotel. Like in my hotel it's come, we are getting like a cube roll, we are getting the rumps, and we are getting sirloin steaks. So sirloin, and we are getting a tenderloin. So from that we used to butcher ourselves and we used to portion it. So what are all the cuts of beef that you getting in your hotel, you have to explain to them. And how would you help your head chef with menu and recipe development? Like if your chef needed assistant in the menu planning or something, what is your part of helping him, like those kind of questions. And do you deal with any special dietary requirements? Actually, dietary requirements is the very very important questions that will be sure asked in the exam. So there are lots of dietaries people follow. Some of them they follow for their life, personal life, medical life, or some of them they are follow for fashion. People who are really allergic to gluten and dairy, they are how what kind of food served for them. And some people they use keto food, some people they use kosher, some people they used to eat giant food, some people they used to eat food with no onion, no garlic. Those kind of religious things are there among the dietary requirements. So you have to know all the details of these dietary requirements and what are all the foods served for them. Do you have any special menu available in your restaurant for the dietary peoples, or suddenly if the guests don't like these dietary foods, what is your other option to give them the dietary foods? Like that questions and all they will raise on that situation. So how do you handle your supply and do you maintain FIFO? Like when you receive the stores, how do you handle the supply? How do you receive the store? When we receiving the stores, we have to check the dates and we have to check the package, anything is broken, or if anything is broken we have to return that packages. And we have to check what we have ordered. If everything we have received correctly, then we have to tick everything and sign it. Then when arranging it in the fridge, then we have to follow the FIFO, which is first in first out. So old stock should come front and the new stock has to go behind. So those kind of stuffs, are we aware of that? They will ask those things. So what are the basic method of cooking and what methods do you use in your kitchen? Like basic methods of cooking, there are 16 methods of cooking. So as a chef we should know all the 16 methods of cooking. As at least each and every methods of cooking, at least one example we have to know. For example, if you say braising, so what kind of things you can, you have you ever braised any food? What kind of food you used in a braised cooking, like that? If they ask, then you should able to tell one dish at least what you do in braising, or like simmering, or oven roasting, pot roasting, whatever you're telling, you should know one example of cooking that you have done in your uh, culinary life. And what are all the sauces do you make in the kitchen, and do you know any other mother sauces? Like sauces is five basic mother sauces. Everybody know that espanol, bechamel, those kind of five mother sauces. Each and every sauce having derivatives. So each and every sauce have a derivatives. You don't need to buy hot everything, but you should at least should know that what basic mother sauce that you use in your own kitchen. And among each and every among the five basic mother sauces, you should know at least one example of each sauces, that when they ask you, you have to tell them. And how do you make mayonnaise? Mayonnaise also, how do you make mayonnaise, and what are the derivatives of mayonnaise? Like mayonnaise is a common thing, like everybody knows, which is made of egg yolk, mustard, salt, pepper and oil. And there are lots of derivatives in the mayonnaise. We should know at least one or two derivatives of the mayonnaise. And how do you make a stock? Stock is a different it's a very big subject. Actually, stock is not only a uh, one product. Like stocks are made of beef, chicken, fish and vegetables. So they can ask you that how you make the beef stock, and how you make the chicken stock, how you make the fish stock, because each and every stock making method is different. We are making a beef stock, is the method is different. If you are making a chicken stock, that method is completely different. If we are making a fish stock, that is more completely different than the beef and chicken stock. So we should know the method of making the stocks. So that is a real very important question they will ask you. And they will ask you the basic mother sauces one by one. Actually, what is espanol sauce, what is bechamel sauce, what is the hollandaise sauce, what is tomato sauces and its derivatives. So those kind of things we have to know. So if you if we use the bain marie in the kitchen, every kitchen should be having a bain marie where they keep the hot food for the service. If you have a bain marie, then what is the temperature should you maintain in the bain marie while using that in the service? The temperatures are really important, they will ask you. And how do you organize the fridge, and what is the hierarchy for stacking food on the shelves? So as a chef, if we go inside the walk-in cooler, how your walk-in cooler is organized, like where you keep the dairy foods, where you keep the chickens, where you keep the beefs, and where you keep the poultries. Those kind of things we should know. If any of your staff is putting the wrong things, then what will be your actions? What you will do? You will get upset, or you will train them. And do you regularly check your walk-in cooler? It will be, it is on the standard of your hierarchy. Those kind of questions will be asked, which should be kept up. Like cooked food should be on the top, raw food should be on the bottom. Where we have to keep the seafoods very bottom like that. Those kind of hierarchies we have to know inside the walk-in cooler. So once you cook the food from the oven, how do you cool it? Like when we cook the food completely, then we cannot use the same food on the same day. So we use that for next 3 days. Then how do you cool it down before you storing it that in the fridge? So Each and every hotel they follow the cooling procedures of, and they maintain the 6 hours lock. So how that 6 hours locks work, among by using the 6 hours lock, how you cool down the food, you have to tell or explain in detail. Yeah, and what are all the equipments that you use in your kitchen? Uh, each and every kitchen they have a large equipment and the small equipment. Large equipments like the ovens, grills, and uh, grills, and how about choppers or dough mixer like that, bonsai machines like that, big large equipments, and the small equipments like the chinois, Chinese cap, and this ladles, this small equipments. So these kind of things we have to differentiate and tell. If they ask any particular equipment what you have told, if they ask about that how you use that, like for example if you say hobo chopper and they ask you why you use the hobo chopper, and how you use it, what brand is that hobo chopper, and what are all the food that you make in that hobo chopper, like that if they ask, you should know. Simply if you say I use hobo chopper and you don't know how to use it, then that will be a problem. And then how many people work in your kitchen? Do you train your staff? Yeah, the same question which I tell before, that how many people we are working in the kitchen. Do you train your staff? For example, each and every staff working there, some of them are really know everything all over the kitchen, and some people don't know most of the things, like everybody will not do the steaks. So if someone who don't know how to do steaks, how you train them? Like if you are not busy that day, you will tell them to work in the grill so that they will learn that day. If 1 or 2 steaks come, they will not be busy, so you are giving opportunity for them to learn in the grill in when there is no busy. So like that you have to make a chances for other people as well to know the jobs. So in that ways how you train your staff in various things, you have to explain those things in detail. And during busy period in the kitchen, how you do train your staff, what is the best possible way? And do you have a standard procedure for recipes in your kitchen? Do you follow it? SOP, standard operating procedure. Each and every restaurant having a SOP. So our hotel also having a standard operating procedure, a standard menu. So we used to follow that standard menu. If they ask you that do you have any standard menu, you have to say yes, and you have to explain what are the questions they raise on that situation. And if you make a big batch of food for a function, how will you make the food? Do you have any formula to calculate the portion size? For example, if you have 100 packs of functions booked and you have to make a 3 course menu, how will you calculate the ingredients? Like how many portions you will get, and how will you start making? How you divide those things in a portion, like that they will ask. For example, if you take a beef for 100 people, you have to give them if you have a 2 alternate menu, one you are giving chicken and another one you are giving a beef, then 50 people will be getting chicken and 50 people will be getting beef. So 50 people if it's getting beef, in that 50 people one person is getting 300 grams, then how much 50 people will be getting? So you have to calculate in that way. And if one beef is giving 14 portion of beef, then how many beef we have to cook? Like that you have to calculate and tell them in that same place. Everything should no need to be exactly matched, but you should know how to explain those things at that time if they ask you. So if you are making a cake, what are the ingredients? It is very compulsory to know the recipe of 1 kg cake, either it's a black forest cake or red velvet cake or a white forest cake. We should know the recipe or ingredients of the 1 kg cake making procedures. And also we should know how to make shortcut pastry, and we should know how the shortcut pastry made from. If you guys don't know, you have to google it and you have to know the recipe how to make the shortcut pastry. And if the shortcut pastry got failed, what we have to do next? So this is a very critical questions. If you guys don't know how to make shortcut pastry, you have to learn from the google how to make shortcut pastry recipe, and also you have to learn that if it is not working properly, then immediately what we have to follow up on that one. Then do you have a do you do roaster? Do you do roaster for the kitchen? If you do roaster for the kitchen, how you will do the roaster? Roastering is a very important topic for the chef, because if we are really busy, you cannot give the main working people off on that day. For example, today we have 200 people booked in the restaurant. We are really busy, and you given the main team player off, and you have nobody to support behind, then it will be a problem for you. So how you adjust the roster, how you make the roster, how you do the roster depending on the functions, upcoming functions, those kind of roastering things is very important. uh, Sometimes your staff maybe come to you and they will ask you that they need a off in next 2 weeks or next week, then how you will swap those offs. So how advance you do the roster, like 1 week before or 2 weeks before, those kind of questions they will ask you. And how often do you do inventory checks? So inventory check is a very important thing in all the hotels. Then some of them they will do monthly twice, or some of them they will do monthly once. So in our hotel we used to do monthly once. Every month end we used to do the inventory check. So how you do the inventory check and what is the purpose of doing the inventory check? So in the inventory check, what are all the areas you cover? Those kind of questions they will ask. We have to know that. Then how do you close your section and kitchen? Then cleaning, closing, when you come to the kitchen, how you start the kitchen, and when you close in the kitchen, how you close the kitchen. When you close the kitchen, what are all the things you have to note? Like you have to turn off all the electricities, you have to turn off all the gases, you have to turn off the exhausters, you have to check any heat lamp is not on. So you have to check every small equipments like the ovens, the down ovens, and you have to check the grills. Nothing should be turned on. Bain maris, everything should be shut, and you have to clean all the areas of the kitchen has to be sanitized. And after using the dishwasher has to be removed, and the filter has to be clean, and you have to drain the water of the dishwasher, and you have to uh, check the dishwasher and turn off all the equipments before you leave. Those kind of stuff they will ask you. And what are all the personal protective equipment you use in the kitchen, and what are the personal protective equipment PPE that you use while cleaning. Those kind of questions they will ask. And what you will do if the main equipment is not working and you really need it, and you need it and the equipment is not working, what you will do immediately. So you report to the supervisor, or what is the next step that you are doing, they will ask you. And you have to know the dishes, either Asian cookery or commercial cookery. If they ask you that meat and meat products, you should know what are all, you have to know at least 2 examples of meat dishes that you know in the Western cuisine or Asian cookery. In that meat dishes, you have to know the cutting of meats as well as the cooking of meats. And also in the poultry, you have to know the cutting of poultry, and also you have to know 2 dishes made of poultry, either Asian cookery or Western cuisine. Same as seafood, you have to know the types of seafood. So in the types of seafood, you have to know what are all the seafood dishes we can make, any two examples like that. So how to defrost the seafood and how to defrost the other things. Defrosting method in the kitchen, either the meat or the seafood. Some of them they say that we have to defrost in the running water. We will really fail. We have to plan ourselves for depending on the functions and the bookings in the restaurant, and we have to take the frozen item 2 days or 3 days before, so that it will defrost in the walk-in cooler from the freezer. So no need to put in the running water. So desserts questions. Desserts are actually there are lots of desserts there. Like we should know about the hot desserts, any two examples of hot desserts. Then we have to know about the crust based desserts, any two examples of crust based desserts. Then we have to know about the cold desserts, any two examples of cold desserts. Then we have to know about the frozen desserts, any two examples of frozen desserts. These things we have to study and we have to remember that one. And do you know how to make breads? Either commercial cookery, you have to know the breads like bread rolls or French bread or any other bread. We should know the recipe of the breads. Or in the Asian cookery, we should know the breads like naan, roti, chapati, those kind of things. So what is the cleaning procedure in your kitchen, like in a daily basis or weekly basis, which I already explained. Then do you do any specials on your menu? Other than the menu, do you do any specials on the weeks? So like the card of the day, plat dizu, card dizu, like plate of the day. Today is the special, any special, like we used to give sometimes beef goulash, or we used to give sometimes beef stroganoff. Some week we are giving like a Sri Lankan beef curry with rice, like that. Any specials we will do on your menu. And we should know how many capacity of the how many capacity seatings in our restaurants, and we should know what are all the cuts of beef we are using, and what is the grams we are using. Like in our hotel we use eye fillet is 280 grams, filet mignon is 280 grams, and rib fillet we are using for 300 grams, and sirloin we use 500 grams. Like that, you have to know the weight of the meat that you use in your hotel menu. That is really very important. So as a chef, if the health inspector comes in, and how you show and prove that your kitchen is following proper HACCP procedure. HACCP is a hazard analysis critical control point. Everyone in the kitchen, they follow the HACCP procedures. So suddenly if the inspector comes, health inspector comes, how you prove yourself that you are following the HACCP procedure? That we have to explain in our own style. So how would you deal with one of the team members lacking everybody behind mid busy service? So the busy service, somebody is lacking everybody, then how will you deal with them? That we have to give our own answer. So what is the do you follow the standard recipe or work? I have told already. So yes, I think I have covered most of the questions. So these are the commonly asked questions. So maybe my language is little bit not properly, but if you hear this video, you will get an idea that how to attend the interview. Actually, I am explained in this video like friendly, and if my language is not good or my English is not perfect, please forgive me. But if you understand what I am trying to tell, then this video will be really helpful for you in your exam. So thank you very much guys for supporting me in this channel, and thank you for subscribing, and I will see you guys in my another video. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel.